Hello, beautiful people. We're talking about moods today. The mood roller coaster. I have 3 things to tell you about today to stop being a slave to your emotions. I know the roller coaster well, and these 3 ways are tried and true. I have done them through the years, and especially the third one. The third one is something I've been starting to do the past few years, and it has made all the difference. This is Rebecca. Hi there. We're diving deep so we can rise high today. Woo! I used to be a very moody girl back in the day. I don't think my eating disorder helped things as a teen, but I was reminded this morning of moodiness as I was talking to my teen. And I thought it would be helpful to get on here and talk about 3 things that have really, really helped me through the years to get off that mood roller coaster. And so if you have suffered with the up and down moods, especially as an empath, because empaths, if you're a sensitive empath, you can walk into a room and pick up everyone else's mood. And all of a sudden, you are in a mood and you're like, where the heck did this just come from? So these 3 things will really help, especially the third one. So be sure to stay to the third one. All right, guys, so let's dive in here. So first of all, what is a mood? It's basically an emotional reaction to energies happening out here. It can also be emotional reaction to something that's happening in here. And a mood is just something that is happening. And it's not you. It's a reaction, it's a response. It becomes a problem in our lives and we become a slave to it when we actually hang out here in these lower frequency moods and we don't know how to rise back up. So it's a stuckness, if you will. So as an empath, you can walk into a room and you can pick up people's moods and then you actually think it's your own. And then you actually identify with it and think that you're a moody person. You actually think that you're having this and it's yours and it's who you are. And so I just really want to first state that a mood is not who you are. It's kind of just a little stuck vibration. All right, so how do we get out of this moodiness? How do we get out of this roller coaster ride? So honestly, moods can be positive too, right? And they also can be negative. And a lot of times when we talk about moodiness, we're talking about the lower frequency moods. With that, there's a lot of suffering there, not only for the person in the mood, but the person on the outside having to receive the mood. My dad had always said, it's okay, have your mood, but don't project it or take it out on someone else. And that is the problem, because a lot of times when people are in their lower frequency mood stuff, they're projecting it out onto others and taking it out on others. And that's a problem. So let's clear some of this up today. Now, I really love the tool of the emotional guidance system. It's by Abraham through Esther Hicks. It's a book called Ask and It Is Given, and it's the 20-second process. And it's interesting that it's the 20-second process because there are 22 vibrational emotions, moods, that you can be in. And the guidance scale is so cool because basically it's saying as humans, we go through all these, right? But notice my hand, it's going up and down, it's moving because emotions are just energy in motion. A mood is a problem because it goes down to the lower vibration and it stays stuck there. So today I want to talk about how to get unstuck and some practices that you can start doing so that you are down here, but know how to get back up. And then maybe you go back down here and you know how to get back up. Because guys, I have been there. I have suffered this for a really long time. And so I think this is a really important topic. Put in the comments, what mood do you suffer from the most? Is it just negativity? Is it anger and blame? Is it fear? Is it grief? You know, so there's a lot of feelings that create this kind of moodiness. So what is your go-to? What seems to be where you ride the most and that you are suffering right now with? So yeah, just let's be real here. The first step is awareness. For me, it was kind of in that negativity, anger, blame mode for a long time. So let's dive into the meat here so we can remember our greatness together. And our greatness is our birthright. It's our infinite beingness. It's our authentic self. It is a spark of our ascended self. And so let's grow that part of ourselves. So let's work through these moods together. So number one behavior that you can stop being a slave to your moodiness is stop complaining. Now, I know that can be hard. I grew up in New Jersey, and it's a culture of complaining there. I mean, that's how you relate to people. But it took a lot of time to unravel this one for myself. But I was reminded of this today as my son came up starting to complain about some things. And I was like, huh. And I just wouldn't go there with him. And it was frustrating him. So it was interesting to notice where he took it. So I'll let you know. He took it to number 2, which I'll let you know about later. But the number 1, complaining. Complaining is really focused on that negative aspect of something or someone. Now, the way I see it is that everyone has a light body, and there's always something else you could focus on. So if there's complaining about someone, there's also something you can celebrate and have gratitude about as well. So where do you want to focus? There's always going to be that rainbow. So negative and positive. Complaining is just focusing on the negative of someone or something. So it's really important to get into the habit of focusing on the positive, giving someone the benefit of the doubt. Stop complaining, all right? And it's interesting starting to become aware of it, because sometimes you don't realize that you are complaining. Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm not a complainer. I see the best in everyone. And then you start realizing that you are. And it's a little bit humbling. Been there. So just be brave. Take a look at where you're complaining and how much you are complaining, and then back it up and back it up until you notice that you really don't complain anymore. Or when you're in the middle of complaining, you'll start noticing and be like, you know what? I don't want to go there, because complaining just pummels you down into a lower vibration. So stop doing that. Number 2 is, remember I said my son started to do something. So he complained and I wasn't buying into it. So then he dropped into number 2, which is judgment. And so then he started judging everyone on the block. And I was saying like, wow, that's not my experience of them. And so I wasn't buying into that either. And then he started doing something else. So judgment also plummets you into some deep moods and some lower vibration stuff, and kind of keeps you stuck in a lower vibration mood. So stop judging. So what is judgment? So it's okay to have awareness. Actually, as we awaken, we have to live with awareness. That's how we guide ourselves. And it's okay to have discernment. But judgment is taking that discernment and putting it in a box and saying, this is how they always are. This is their only contribution. It's just this. And a judgment can be positive or negative. Most judgments are in the negative. And you put someone in this negative box saying they're weird. Or they're, I don't know, what's another judgment? They're mean. And when you put it in a box, it's very limiting. It's a form and structure and a reality and a definition that you are creating around this person, place, or thing. And then you actually can't receive anything else from that person, placing, or thing. You can only put what you've defined as a judgment. So judgments can really whack our reality. So if you are really wanting to vibe high and you're noticing sometimes you just plummet, notice your judgments. They go past a discernment and awareness. They lock it into that it's like an always reality. They're always like this. Those people are just like this. And it's like, it's really, one, it's not fair to do those people because people have, again, a rainbow of things to offer. Where are you focusing on? And so the other thing is, it's like, you're doing a real disservice to yourself because there's so much that one person can contribute to you. And if we're only allowing that stream of weirdness or stream of meanness, we don't really get to experience the whole other sides of people. Now, of course, there's awareness and there's things that don't work for you and there's healthy boundaries, but boundaries can sometimes prevent us from receiving from people. So we want to be careful with boundaries and we want to be careful with judgment. So number one, stop complaining. Number two, stop judging. And I know I've lived through it all. So this complaining judgment paradigm, and it is tough. It is tough to stop doing it, but it is possible. And the first thing is awareness. Become aware that you're doing it. And then you'll notice more and more how you're doing it throughout your day. And you just start cutting back. Be gentle with yourself, but just start cutting this back. And you're going to start noticing that you suffer less with moods. All right. So number three, this was the big one I was telling you about. And this has changed my life. Yes, stopping the judgment and stopping the complaint has totally changed my life. But this one in particular is the Big Mac Daddy. So what is it? Align with the light in everybody. Now, for those sensitive empaths out there, you know what it's like to walk into a room, say like a yoga room or a gym or a supermarket. And you can pick up on the mood of everyone in the room. It's awful. And for a long time, I didn't know. I just thought it was my mood. Until I started asking, so I started getting more aware and being like, wait, what is this? This isn't mine. I just was in a great mood. What is this about? So I started realizing that we can catch other people's mood more quickly than we can a cold. So that's something to be aware of. So what I started to do was I started to set up my alignment with the lightness of everybody. So before I walked into a big yoga class, I would say, I'm aligning with the lightness of everybody in this room. And I'd go in, and that's what would happen. I wouldn't kind of catch everybody's resistance or negativity that they were actually trying to release in the yoga room, right? So yoga rooms are really intense. They're releasing all this energy, and you could be the catch-all for it. So it's a really important to walk into a yoga room and say, you know what, I'm just going to tune into the lightness. All right. And that really has helped me a lot, because when you set up that trajectory, tuning into the lightness, you know, remember that rainbow. All right. There's a rainbow of expression, vibrational expression for each individual. Where do you want to focus? So it's just a point of focus. I'm really going to focus on people's lightness. And guess what? That's what comes through. So this really works well when you've really looked at the complaining and judgment piece. You want to work those two first, decrease those, and then you can really walk into a room and set that up for just tuning into the lightness. So it's kind of like a radio dial. You're just dialing in to the frequency that you want to be tuning into, right? So you wouldn't be listening to static on the radio, and you don't put up with listening to a song on a radio station that you're just not into, or whatever else, or, you know, I'm just not into listening to sports on the radio, so I would tune it to something different. So would you be willing to have that much awareness for yourself as you do with listening to the radio in the car. You know, what do you want to dial into when you walk into the grocery store, or walk into the room, the yoga room, or walk into the living room of your house when you wake up in the morning? What do you want to tune yourself to? What if it's that simple? It's just like finding a radio station that works for you. Find a frequency that works for you and be committed to holding it, which means anything that's going to tune it into the static again, like complaining or judgment, or tuning into other people's moods and trauma, drama, and, you know, thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs of everybody else's, tune into something different. And you can also tune into something different for yourself. Now, I'm not saying bypass your emotions. I'm not saying bypass beliefs and feelings and stuff like that. Like, those are important things. But the way that I see them is that they're all indicators. They're all little tools for us to use. So when a mood comes up and has emotion attached to it, take a look. What is this? One, ask, is it mine? And if it's not, just, you know, get rid of that. And if it's yours, then take a look and say, what's significant here? What am I making important? And does this have anything to do with the trajectory that I'm on, which is my awakening and embodying my ascension? Because most often those moods and those emotions tend to be something from the past. It's not something that's here present with us. So you can take a look and take inventory. Is this relevant right now? Is this significant anymore? Oh my gosh, this is part of some old programming. This is part of something else. And I did a video last week about letting go of your old programming. And it's really all about getting super present. And all the other programming is in the past or future here. It's a projected future, or it's in your past. Right here, right now, you can ask, wow, is this mood or emotion related to this present moment? Is it significant right now? No, it's part of some old programming. So you get to decide, you get to choose if it's really in alignment with that 100% commitment we talked about last week, about really holding that 100% commitment of your high vibration, of your ascended self. And that's what holding the light and focusing on the light in everybody is all about. It's tuning your vibration and really being committed. So it's not that bypassing. It's taking a look and processing emotions. All processing emotions is actually going to the emotion, feeling it, and saying, what's important here? What am I making important here? Is this from a past reality? It's getting the information and then rising back up. So Abraham Hicks talks about it as, you know, taking your cork. And what if you had your cork, you bobbing up and down and floating high vibe on the water, but what if something came and pushed the cork down, right? It wants to keep going back up, but something's holding it down. It's that mood and emotion that's holding that cork down. So how are you going to let go of whatever's holding the cork down and pop back up? I love that. Pop back up. So beautiful, people. Give this a try. Number 1, see if you can decrease the complaining. Number 2, see if you can decrease the judgment. And number 3, see if you can really dial in to the lightness of people. Really focus in on the lightness of others and see if that helps you to stop being a slave to this roller coaster of moods and emotions. I'd love to see how this landed for you. And if you have a question about anything that I'm talking about and something I could address tomorrow on another video, so please put in the comments how this landed for you. What is your mood roller coaster like? Which is one that really hooks you in? Are you an empath? Are you noticing that you're picking up on moods? And how are these 3 things helping you? So I'd love to know all that in the comments. You know, this is all a process, guys. Be gentle with yourself. We are remembering our greatness together. And, you know, if you have anything to add to this list, be sure to put that in the comments. And as always, please subscribe, like, and click the bell. Let's get this content out there. And thanks so much for being part of this high vibe tribe. Namaste.